So last week I came over here to do this project and I stuck my shovel in the ground and it went clunk because the ground was still frozen. But we've got movement now. So what I'm doing today is I am going to take some root cuttings from comfrey. So I quite like comfrey. I think it's actually really pretty. It's got nice bold leaves. Not a lot eats it, although occasionally the deer will nibble on it. And I believe comfrey is used to soothe stomach aches. So maybe that's a deer with a stomach ache. Anyway, so the thing with comfrey, this one is one called, I really should have brought the shovel instead of this like micro shovel. This one is one called Russian Bocking 14, and it is sterile. And that's the thing to note with comfrey, is that comfrey can spread aggressively via seed if you have one that has viable seed. So when I bought this comfrey several years ago, I bought it by root cuttings, and within weeks I had nice big plants. Now I have since moved this comfrey a couple of times, and this latest time, here comes the cavalry. Come on. What's up? What's the problem? Who am I talking to, huh? Okay. All right. Are you coming here, Odin? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Ooh. Okay, is that good? Oh, Dorothy. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Okay. Can we lay down? Okay. What I was trying to say is that you can buy this. Oh, you can buy this by root cuttings, and it takes really well. Now, the thing to know about comfrey is that once you have it, you kind of have it forever, because comfrey goes down, its roots go so deep. Like, I have heard 20 feet deep or deeper sometimes. So it's great for breaking up an area, for one thing. It also has a lot of potassium in it. So it will add that to the soil, and I like it not just because it's pretty and because pollinators love it. I like it because, Dorothy, very helpful. I like it because I make comfrey tea fertilizer out of it. So you can cut up the leaves and basically soak them in water for a few weeks, and you end up with a fertilizer that's high in potassium, which is great for like the flowering and fruiting stage of your plants. So once you're past the part where you want to put nitrogen in there and you're working on getting fruit and flowers, that's when you would want that. But digging this thing up is proving a challenge. What I might have to do is just sort of excavate to get to roots. Maybe that's what I'll do. That might be easier. So anyway, I want some more plants here. I have probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 here. And I moved really, Dorothy? And I moved these to this area last year. No, 2 years ago. They had been over there by the vegetable garden for a long time. And of course they are still over there, because there's no way when you move this that you can ever get the roots out of the ground. So once you have it, it's going to be there. It's going to keep popping up. Now I have moved this over to a semi-shady area, which means it's not as rambunctious as it has been. And so that's why I actually need more of it. So instead of digging up this whole plant, because my God, it's in there, I am actually going to just get in here and take root cuttings where I can. And you don't need very long root cuttings, maybe a couple inches. And the only thing you want to do with a root cutting is make sure that you know which way is supposed to be up. So I cut the bottom flat and the top pointy. Now that's pretty small. Here, I better put that in my pocket so I don't lose it. Let's see if we can find more. Here's actually a chunk of the plant right here that I accidentally broke off. But there's a nice root cutting right here. Trust me when I say that this plant is so tough that even though I'm treating it not so nice right now, it will be just fine. So now I was able to dig up. This is a nice chunk. So now you can see more what we're looking for here. So I'm going to cut off this root pretty far and use all this material for root cuttings. And then I will just replant this chunk. Okay, that's enough material to go in and take our cuttings. I'm happy to go inside because it is not warm. It is spring-like, and you can tell because I have a new pair of gardening gloves. I buy a 4-pack of my favorite gardening gloves from Amazon once a year, right at spring. I would suggest in about a month there will be no more matching pairs and you'll see me back to gardening gloves that don't match. But as long as there's a right and a left, I'm good with it. All right, inside we go. All right, come on. Come on, let's go. Come on, bud. Few things make me cringe more than having you come into my basement with me. But this is where a lot of things happen in this house, and this time of year, this is where seed starting happens, and it's not necessarily pretty. The chest freezer that holds a lot of dog food serves as a fabulous potting bench, and everything around here has to do double duty, including the dog bath, which is doing triple duty right now because I have the tripod sitting in the dog bathtub, which also serves as our sink down here, which also serves as where we water all the plants from. Actually, it works out pretty good. Okay, so I am going to just make a clean cut on the bottom of this one. That was a little spongy right there. Let's get to something good. Now, I do have some rooting hormone powder here. Honestly, you wouldn't need it, but I'm going to use it because I feel like it can't hurt. But really, you guys, this really does root from cuttings so easily. Okay, now I'm just going to, I'm using little 2-inch pots, which are probably a little bit on the small side, but I'm really just trying to get these started. So we're going to go in there, cover that guy up. That one's done. On this one where I took the long root, first of all, this skinny bit at the bottom we're not going to use. But this is probably 3 cuttings. So let's go like here, here, and here. Like that. We're just going to pop it in there. Cover it up. Although it probably should have had slightly deeper pots, but to be honest, these pots fit in what I have growing already over there, so I won't need to worry about a separate tray for these. And I think I'll just stick those in the same pot. So now it's just water this. Obviously they don't need heat because everything's growing out there. I'm just going to stick them under the lights in here just to get them going. And then I'll put them outside as soon as I can. And they can grow on outside. And then I will transplant them once I see where all the other plants are growing in that garden. So I make sure that I'm putting them, because I just want to make sure I get them in the right place the first time. Because like I said, once you put them somewhere, they're there. So that's the plan for these. As long as we're in the basement, I have not shown you guys in a video what's happening with seed starting, so let's just take a quick peek at that. I do pretty regular updates on Instagram, but let's just show you right now what's happening. So, you guys, this is always a lighting challenge, but I just want to tell you that this rack system that I'm using is working so well. It's 2 4-foot wide rolling racks wrapped in reflective mylar. You'll see it on the inside when I open it up. And I push them together, and then when I need to work in there, I just pull them apart. And I can't tell you how great this is working. Keeps the heat in there, keeps the... You're going to have to deal with some really funky colors here, guys. Sorry. It keeps the heat in there. It maximizes my use of light. You can see what I'm talking about. See the reflective surface in the back? That's the 6 mil Mylar that I put in there. Just to help make the most of the light. Now I still have over here, we still have some house plants who are about to get, they're about to get booted because we're running out of room. So those are going to have to move upstairs and just deal with it. I'll give you a quick tour of how everything's growing, and then we're going to just quickly talk about sweet peas. These things. So back here is a little Crimson King basil that we started in a video. Those are little snapdragons back there. They're still pretty small. We're going to thin those. I'll show you that too maybe. We've got some Kufia here. Very pokey little foxgloves. Take forever. Nicotiana going. Now you guys, I sowed this Nicotiana as thinly as I possibly could, and look how many are coming up. Nicotiana is just brutal for popping up, so we're going to have to thin those out fairly soon here. Under here in this humidity dome, I have all the vines that haven't yet sprouted. I'm trying to get them going, including purple bell vine. We are on week 4 or 5 since I planted them. They can take 6 or more weeks to germinate. Some days they germinate in 10 days. Sometimes they take like 2 months. So I would like to see them though, because it's getting a little, I'm getting a little nervous about those. Peppers, just 3 here. I don't need a lot of peppers. Parsley behind that here. And then basil behind that. That's the Emerald Towers. This is Minette basil. This is the little basil that I'm going to use to make little basil hedges. We've got more Nicotiana. I'm just waiting for some ones in the back corner there to germinate before I take this heat dome off. My little fan, I move this little clip fan up and down to wherever it's needed. Down here we've got Ageratum, Gomphrena. I think that's all that is. These adorable little guys. Oh my gosh. Just the cutest little things. Do you see how they're sort of fuzzy on top? Salvia argentea, one of my favorites, must have. I just love how they're fuzzy from the get-go. Under here is the ginger that I am pre-sprouting, ginger and turmeric that I'm pre-sprouting. I am super late on this. You can see there's a little sprout right there. I'm super late on this. My ginger arrived very late. I'm about a month behind, but it is what it is. Here's some of the little gingers that have already sprouted, that I've already potted on and will grow here for a while. Sweet peas, we'll talk about those a little bit more. A heat mat covered in, what do we have here? I'm not even sure what everything is anymore. Oh, China Aster, Celosia. I just started those yesterday. I just want to show you another way that I'm starting a lot of seeds this year is by just broadcast sowing them in these, I think this is like a 9 by 6.5 inch tray. And then I will pluck those out and pot those on individually. I'm super low on space. So the longer they can stay in something like that, hopefully by the time they need to move on to a pot, something else can be moving out of the way and perhaps onto being hardened off, or get out of here and make some more space. All right, let's talk about sweet peas. So I definitely started these sweet peas a little too early. They are growing a little too well for how long it's going to be till they can get outside, just because like the ground in the raised beds is still frozen. So we're obviously a ways away from being able to plant these outside. Now, I have started fertilizing these. I will link what I've been using below. There's nothing special about it. Just look for something similar. It's just a fish and seaweed fertilizer. I use it very dilute, about a teaspoon per gallon of water or less. And that's all they need right now. Now I have pinched some back already, but you can see the rest of these need to be pinched back. So I don't know what this scissors is, but somebody said this was really good for dividing dahlia tubers, which I haven't done yet. So I bought it, but it turns out it's super pointy. So, hello, super pointy. So, and really detailed. So it's also really good for doing things like this. So what I like to do is go down to about 2 sets of leaves. And so let's see, you can already tell they're getting to be a bit messy. So here's a big tall one right here. So 1, 2, and we're going to cut right above that. And I didn't do them all because I did want to show you how I'm, this is called pinching back, but you don't have to pinch. I think most of these are good. Some of these are sending out more shoots from the base, which is absolutely fabulous news. So it's all that much more. I mean, we pinch back because we want bushier plants, and we want plants that have more stems on which to grow flowers. But it's also kind of helpful in this situation where this plant is growing really vigorously and I can't get it outside yet, because it will create a bushier plant without putting too much stress on this plant as it continues to grow up and up and up and up and up. It's not, the 2-leaf thing is a preference. There's nothing that says it has to be 2 leaves. You want to go to 3, go to 3. You want to go to 1, go to 1. Just leave some leaves there. So, because what you need is that leaf axil for new. So the lights are motion activated down here. But the new leaves will form at that leaf axil. So that's why you have to make sure you cut to just above, or pinch to just above a leaf, because that's where your new growth is going to branch out and come from. I forgot, I wanted to show you also, I'm going to thin these snapdragons, so I thought you might be interested to see that happen. So this thing that I'm doing this on is a like microfiber dog mat, and it just soaks up water so well. So I've been actually working on this quite a bit. It's really helpful. I also use it, it's the best dog towel there is, but that is not what we're here for. We're here about snapdragons. So you can see on these snapdragons here, if you remember, I sowed these in very small little cells. You can see that there's quite a few in those cells. And what I'm finding is, it's really hard to keep these properly watered. Like they're either too dry or too wet. And part of that is being in these small cells. But also I think it's made worse by the fact that there's so many in each cell. So I'm just going to take this little scissors and I'm just going to cut out all but 1 or 2. I might leave 2 per cell. We'll see, just in case. But I'm going to cut out all the rest, because when you're working in these tiny cells, like, there is no way I'm going to start pulling these out. So what you're looking for is just the strongest seedling. So sometimes that's the biggest one. Sometimes it's the one with the thickest stem. Sometimes it's the one that's growing in the center of the cell, because it's just kind of more convenient when they're in the center of the cell. Okay, so you can see that I left a couple in some cells. Like this one has 2 that are pretty far apart. Some of these where they're really tiny, I'm just going to leave 2 because neither one of them looks that good to me. So anyway, that's a job done. Okay, so that's a couple jobs done in the garden on a day when I really should be out in the garden working, but it's really blustery out there. I shouldn't complain. Other signs of spring have happened. I got the winter greens finally were able to come out of the containers. They finally thawed enough to do that. And lots of things are showing signs of life out there. Just not the gardener today, I guess. All right. I hope you guys have a great day in the garden. We'll see you soon. Oh, f***. Oh, no.